the Federal Reserve that you have a big staff that advises you on inflation. And based on their track record, my guess is they also advised people to buy condos in Las Vegas in 2007. But you don't have to accept their advice. So, with respect to your predictions on inflation, how did you get it so wrong?
Well, Senator, thank you.
Could you move closer to the mic for me?
Yes, of course. Thank you for your question, Senator.
You're welcome.
So I think, nobody got the pandemic right. The pandemic is unprecedented.
Yeah, but I'm asking you about inflation.
Yeah, so...
Hey everyone, welcome back. If you're into politics or economics, you're in the right place. Today we're breaking down an exchange between Senator John Kennedy and a Federal Reserve nominee. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. All right, let's jump in. Senator Kennedy comes out swinging. He questions the nominee on inflation predictions. Kennedy doesn't pull any punches. He jabs at the Federal Reserve staff, implying their advice was off target. This isn't going to be a softball interview. Then, Kennedy asks the big question, how did you get inflation so wrong? The nominee responds, nobody saw the pandemic coming. They blame the unpredictability of COVID-19. The Delta variant disrupted forecasts, causing supply chain issues and inflation. But Kennedy's not buying it. He argues it's also about too much money chasing too few goods. And you know what? He has a point. Next up, Kennedy shifts gears. He asks if federal regulators should stop banks from lending to oil, gas, and gun companies. Controversial industries right now. The nominee says, no, that's not their job. They ensure banks manage risks, not dictate lending. But Kennedy isn't satisfied. He pushes for a clear statement opposing discouragement of lending to these industries. Now, Kennedy takes things in a different direction. He brings up President Biden's Risk Rating 2.0 for flood insurance. This plan could raise premiums from $1,000 to $6,000 a year. Kennedy argues this could make housing unaffordable for millions. It's another example of him looking out for the everyday citizen. Kennedy tackles a question about the concentration of power in just 4 major U.S. banks. He's concerned that when banks get too big, it creates a huge financial risk. The nominee agrees, saying big banks need massive capital and liquidity buffers. But Kennedy is skeptical about whether those protections are enough.
The pandemic is unprecedented.
Yeah, but I'm asking you about inflation.
Yeah, so I think as forecasters, private forecasters, certainly the forecasters, the SEP, the whole committee, we thought that perhaps we would see a more rapid resolution of the pandemic and the supply-demand mismatches, so in particular in cars.
Excuse me for interrupting, but I don't have much time. Do you think are you saying that inflation was caused by the pandemic?
So we certainly have seen the perpetuation, for instance, of the Delta variant leading to
yes, ma'am. But are you saying that the inflation is caused by the pandemic?
I certainly think the supply-demand imbalances that have been the biggest contributors to the very high inflation we've seen are directly attributable to supply chain issues, distortions in demand.
Well, but here's what troubles me about that. I'll agree that inflation is spreading, but I don't see people going around coughing inflation on each other. I think, and I understand supply chains matter, but so does the demand side, and so does too much money chasing too few goods. And I don't think, and I don't think any fair-minded person thinks that inflation is solely the result of the pandemic. Ma'am?
No.
Okay. Do you think that those federal regulatory authorities should use their power to discourage private banks from lending money to gun manufacturers and dealers?
It's not our job. We don't tell banks what sectors to lend to. We just ask them to risk manage, and we make sure they have good processes in place.
I agree with you, and I thank you for that. Will you issue a statement to that effect if you're confirmed?
Well, I certainly have made that statement. We'll continue to make
yes,
that
ma'am.
statement.
Would you issue a separate statement saying, I want to make it clear for what it's worth to all of my colleagues in government, I don't think that you should use your power to discourage private banks from lending money to oil and gas companies and to gun manufacturers.
Well,
Will you do that?
Well, I won't tell other regulators what to do, but I will be happy to talk about what we do at the Federal Reserve, what our statutory authorities require us to do.
So there you have it, folks. Senator Kennedy came prepared, asking tough questions about inflation, lending practices, and the power of big banks. The stakes are sky high, and the answers, not always clear-cut. What do you think? Is Kennedy right to be concerned, or did the nominee offer valid explanations? Let me know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into politics and finance. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.